So Trent, you were working one job in the day and driving across the state to do another job at night. Can you tell us about that?
The thing is, when I get a call, I don't know who's going to be on the other end of the phone. It could be $1 million job, it could be $5,000 job. I don't know who I'm going to talk to when I answer the phone. That was just the opportunity I had to work for Sam's Club, which you work for any kind of big box store job. A lot of this stuff is going to be done at night. They don't want workers in there during the day. They try to do everything at night. That's why when remodels happen at big stores, you might go to that store all the time, but shit'll be changing during the night and you wouldn't even know. So, yeah, I was working at Sam's Club in Lexington, and at the same time, I had a job at the Valley View landfill in LaGrange, or it's actually Sulphur. Had that job in Sulphur, but the issue is schedule wise, when you sign a contract with a big company, say Walmart, Sam's Club, Lowe's, Home Depot, whoever, normally on big scale jobs, they're not signing your contract, you're signing their contract. What comes along with that, sometimes it could be a big enough deal to where they bring liquidated damages in, to where, say, you start a job 1st of December and it was supposed to be a month long job, you're supposed to be done by the new year. If you're not done by the 1st of the new year, you could have to pay $500 a day. You could have to pay $100,000 a day, like depending on what it is. That's how big companies get shit done real quick and in a hurry because liquidated damages, which I didn't have any liquidated damages in the Sam's Club contract, but I signed their contract, so I'm at their will. When they call, I have to go. Especially doing concrete, a lot of the stuff we do, we have to tear out, say, anything that goes on plumbing wise, we would have to tear the concrete out so the plumbers can do the work, and then we have to put it back. So, like, people are waiting on us to do stuff. So, yeah, well, it puts us in a spot where we have to be there. You get in these deadline pinches and you get in these time crunches where you got to be there to be able to do things. And then I've got that going on at nighttime, and at the same time, I've got a GC, which is Landmark, doing work for the landfill. They actually had liquidated damages in their contract. So even though I didn't have liquidated damages, they had it. So if I'm not done or I'm not doing what they need done in a certain time frame, they're going to have to suffer from that. It was like working nights at Sam's and then having to work during the day to make Sam's Club happy, working at night, had to work during the day to make the landfill happy and make sure that they weren't getting hit. At the Sam's Club, we were just doing interior. It was a little bit of exterior work, just doing some bollard post replacement. Inside, we had to tear the floor out, which is crazy doing inside stuff of a big store because you're not allowed to run gas or diesel. You have to use either electric or propane. That's a pain because it's not normal equipment you would use. Normally, we're using the skid steer, which is diesel. We can just come in, do whatever, and be done. But no, it's a little bit different. It costs a lot more to do inside stuff like that because the equipment is not normal stuff that people use. Rental places charge a lot more because they, if somebody's asking for it, that they need it. So this shit is outrageous expensive to get done. Which we ended up subbing a lot of like the saw cut and all that we subbed out. But man, it was something. It was a pain, honestly. It only made it worse working all night, sleeping in the parking lot of Sam's Club, driving straight from there to Sulphur, and working all day, leaving, sleeping in Sulphur's landfill parking lot for a couple hours, and then going back to Sam's Club that night. I didn't even go home. Was barely eating. It puts a big toll on your health too. This was a rare occasion because normally I would not do that to myself. You can only do so much. But they're both really good paying jobs. Didn't have a ton of money in either one of them, and but both had deadlines. So it was one of those, just make it happen. But they're done now.
So a job for the landfill. What did you do there?
It was just a bunch of different stuff. They had to burn off the methane that all the trash puts off. We were putting in some stuff for to hold the methane pipes. We're putting in a flare stack to hold the flare, or they call it a candlestick, that actually burns the methane. And then there's a little bit of electric, like an electric pad we had to do for a transformer. It's just a technical job. It's got to be done exactly how it has to be, or else it's not going to work out. When you start messing with like pipe work, is everything pipe work wise is oriented. So everything has to line up. It's like doing anchor bolts on a steel frame building. Everything has to line up perfect, or else it's not going to work.
Yep.
It's a very technical thing. Just a random email I found on their website and told them to add me to their vendor list and said, if y'all have anything going on in Louisville, Kentucky. I really don't like doing out of town stuff, but they had the one in Lexington. It's not too far. It's about an hour and a half from the house. I went ahead and agreed to that, but I reached out to them on email. It was like a year after they reached out and said, yeah, we got this going on in Lexington if you want to bid it. I bid it, and a month later I got awarded. All it takes is just reaching out. Like, I seen their name on some, they were doing work somewhere, I don't know. I want to say it was they were working at the Sam's Club off Preston, and I thought, I'm going to see if I can reach out to them. Big box stores will get in with a GC like that, and they will stick with them. They'll end up doing work. In particular, they pretty much only work for Walmart and Sam's Club. That they actually have a Walmart and Sam's Club division in their building, that or on like one floor is Walmart, one floor is Sam's Club, and those two floors, that's all they handle. They're nationwide. I just reached out to them. I've done that to a few companies and ended up they'll reach back. It might not be immediate. Just getting on the vendor list puts you in the playing field. They don't care who does the work, because on big jobs they all have plans, they all have specs. You have to do the job how the plans say. If the job is done any different, or it's a shitty job, like, they'll make you tear it out and pay for it. It has to be done how it says. They don't care who does it, they just care about the price, making sure it's done right, and making sure somebody can, whoever does it, actually does a good job. So your main goal should be getting on that vendor list, getting invites to the jobs. If you want to do bigger jobs, you got to get on people's vendor list.
So you mentioned getting on with these big GCs, these big general contractors, and then usually you're able to continue to work for them. I know the guy who owns All in One, and he went out and did the lawn care for one of the Cracker Barrels, and now he does it for all of them locally. It really just goes to show, get your foot in the door, do good work, and they'll keep supplying.
Getting your foot in the door one time, and we did the one in Lexington and did a really good job, got it done in a timely manner. Everybody was happy. Any job that you do, is got, while you're doing it, you're like, motherfucker, can this thing just end? But when it got done, everybody was happy, and they sent me a very nice email telling me they would love to work with me in the future. So that's all it takes. I might end up doing more, maybe not, but
What qualities do you think you should have to be successful in the construction industry?
I would say having a complete desire and always wanting to keep doing better and improve. If you want to improve your business, the main thing is to work on yourself, especially for a small business. It's big. I can't speak on big business because I have a small business. I actually have what I would call a micro business compared to big business.
Yeah.
If you want your business to grow and do better, you need to start with yourself. If you have a micro business and you are the main lead over, let's say, 5 guys on average daily, that is a very small business, and those guys are going to rely on you. So you need to make sure you are doing everything in your power to keep improving and keep the ball rolling, because you start taking on guys, then those are more mouths to feed and more responsibilities. You just got to improve yourself If you want to keep growing, I don't want to name numbers, but I'm doing about what I want to do every year now. I would love to do more, of course, but I don't want to grow as far as more employees and stuff like that. I would rather keep what I have and do better profit.
Mm.
I've got zero desire to have 30, 50 guys working for me, chasing money all the time and dealing with a bunch of employees. I would rather have a small, solid crew, try to do about $1 million a year, and there's something more manageable. If people don't realize, you get into bigger money,
All that added stress, it's just not worth it sometimes.
guys, there's the stress factor of everything. More money, more problems. You got to weigh that in. My grandpa used to always say, you stay small, you can keep it all. That is very true. You can stay small, very manageable, and keep everything going. People get greedy and want to do more and more, but then their personal life slips away, their relationships slip away, it becomes too much. I think stay small and keep it all is a good thing. If you're doing $1 million a year with 5 guys, you should be doing just fine.
Yeah.
You should be able to pay your taxes, have a nice place to live, a nice vehicle. You shouldn't have any worries if you're doing about $1 million a year with 5 guys. It's very manageable. The accounts that you have to think, to do more money, there's only so much time in a year. So
Yeah.
to do more money, it's like, how much can I really do? You start getting into a time thing, it's just not worth it. I don't think. You get in a comfortable spot. I would love to do more.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love it, but do I want to go out and hire 10 more guys? Fuck no. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with Monday morning coming around and 3 guys calling me, or just flat out not calling me and saying, I ain't gonna make it, I got this going on, or I got drunk last night and I'm not gonna make it. Oh, let me change my whole schedule around you getting fucked up last night. Let me just do that real quick. It's just not worth getting big, I don't think. A lot of people don't realize the construction industry is hard enough as it is. It's so competitive. Back to the jobs getting awarded to the lowest bidder 90% of the time, because the job has to get done exactly how the plans say. There's no discrepancy. It's not like a residential job. Residential is different. You can do whatever you want on residential. You can show up to a residential job and tell the homeowner, no, we need to do it like this. And they're like, oh, yeah, sounds great. As commercial job, they're like, no, you're going to do it like the plans say, and that's what it is. I don't care if you bid it like that or not. If the plans say this is what you do, so the job gets done exactly how the plans are. Therefore, it's not a matter of what the work is or quality of work. It's a matter of the price. So that's why lowest bidder normally wins.
But that actually becomes a big issue for some newcomers in the industry, because they end up sometimes screwing themselves because they don't know how to price themselves.
You definitely have to know what you're doing if you're going to start pricing commercial work, because you could miss one little thing and that could easily cost you 20 grand, like in one day. Like, oh, we forgot that this is supposed to be number 5 rebar, 12-inch on center, and we got fucking shit ton of rebar to tie, shit ton of labor tied up in, like, I don't know who would do that, but it's easy to miss things when you're looking at plans, especially if you bid a lot of commercial work. You start bidding multiple commercial jobs, especially for somebody that's a small business owner like me. If I'm looking at plans for this job and this job all the same day, it's hard to keep it all straight. That's why I have to write every single thing down. Okay, this job is this is what's going to be involved, and I can go back and look at it. If I didn't do that, they would just all run together. I would get confused. It's easy to get confused. It would be so easy to get confused looking at multiple jobs every day. You got to keep everything straight. It would be so easy to lose big money on commercial work. Yes, write everything down. I'll write everything down as I'm bidding it. I have a very particular way that I write everything down. A lot of guys don't really look at the spec sheets on stuff. You have to look at all the spec sheets because it might call for a different mix design, and you might have to do something a certain way, and oh, there's going to be a third party inspection. Who's paying for that? There's just all kinds of stuff you have to bring into play and think about. One thing I could say is, as far as bidding goes, make sure you're definitely comfortable and know your industry before you start moving on to commercial work, because once you sign that contract and once you start the work, it's there's no going back. So you need to make sure that you have everything that you're going to do on your inclusions and everything you're not going to do on your disinclusions, and do that.
Yeah. So you've worked a lot of residential and commercial. What would you say are the main differences between the two, and which one do you actually prefer?
I would much rather do commercial work. So here's the pros and cons. I would say residential is quick and easy money. It's very quick. A big job in residential could last a week, or it could really last depending on the job. But I would say on average, a decent size residential job is like a week, maybe 2 weeks. So it's quick, easy money. And when you get done with the residential job, you're able to bill for it. Say it's a 2 week long job. We finish on that Friday of the second week. I should be getting a check or getting paid very soon after, like within a couple of days or maybe even immediately. You have more freedom in the residential world to just use your best judgment and do things how you think it should be done. Commercial is easier in some ways because there's not really much thinking to it. You just have to know what you're looking at. You have to know what the plans say. You have to just follow the plans. You have to follow the plans like they're the Bible.
Yeah.
Do exactly what they want, which makes it nice and easy as long as you can read them. The downfall with commercial is you have to have deeper pockets. You have to be able to front the money for at least a month at a time. Normal pay schedule is going to be net 30.
Yeah.
But another thing with commercial is, and this was hard for me whenever we were doing both the Sam's Club and the sulfur job. Commercial jobs, when you're working for bigger GCs, have billing deadlines. For instance, Rick Shipman's deadline for billing is the 20th. If I didn't have my pay app in by the 20th, and say it was January 20th, if I didn't have my pay app in for January 20th, and I turned it in, say the 22nd, I'm not going to get paid. The pay app is going to roll over into February 20th. I'm not going to get paid until March 20th. So you have to be on it as far as scheduling goes and making sure you're billing on time and stuff, because you can be out a shitload of money for a good amount of time if you're going to find out real quick. You miss your pay app, it's going to be on. They don't mess around. They're like, nope, you missed it. That sucks. And there's nothing you can really do about it. They're billing for millions of dollars. Walmart or Sam's Club nationwide. They have to have all this in order before the 20th. If you miss it, tough. We'll see you 2 months. Like, that is what it is.
Yeah, you get those reminders on your phone.
I remember I was sleeping in the truck. It was like the 18th, and I've been already working on it because I knew I had to get it in. I'm falling asleep putting it in. I'm like, but then in this case, this past month, whenever I was doing both of them, it's like I'm trying to remember all this shit. I've got it wrote down. I'm trying to go back through and make sure I don't miss anything. You got change orders to take in effect or to take in account. Like, everything has to be accounted for that we've done. Any change orders, I have to bill for what we've done. Some companies will let you bill for projected the full month. Say at the 20th, say we started the job on the 1st, and by the 30th, I was going to be 75% done. Some companies will let you bill for 75% before the 20th. So I can bill for 75%. Some companies will let you do that, but they just want to bill for what's done. On the 20th, whatever's been done since then, that's what you bill for.
In terms of boots on the ground, you're comfortable with about 5 employees. But do you see yourself in the near future getting an office lady so that you're not falling asleep in your truck in the parking lot trying to do billing early in the morning?
Man, it would be so nice to have an office lady. I've got a girl that has been helping me a little bit. I don't know if she's going to stay or not, but it would be awesome to have. So, an office lady for a small construction company is very hard to bring on just because I'm still in the field. And this is a good selling point for me as far as business goes. People start talk if any problem occurs on the job site, people have my phone number. They call me and normally I'm there and I'm like, what's up? That's a big selling point because it's not such a big company that I've got this crew here and this crew here and oh, let me call my foreman and ask him what's going on. It's no, just call me and I'll tell you what's going on. And that's a good thing. Eventually everybody gets to a point where they put the belt down, but I don't think I could ever just stop working in the field. I absolutely love being in the field. I don't think I can do that, and that's probably one of the reasons why I'll end up staying smaller. I'm totally fine with that. But it would be hard to bring on an office person because a lot of stuff that goes on is just in my head. I know what's going on, and it's almost like if I'm gonna know what's going on and then have to tell somebody else, I might as well just do it myself. I've got a hard problem with delegating office work. I can delegate manual labor all day, but office work is one thing that I struggle with. I just want things done. Office work in construction is very legal. Everything has to be done and sent in a very certain way. Like, you can't be out here fucking up your billing. If you don't get me wrong, mistakes happen.
Yeah.
But you can't be fucking up your billing. And you definitely can't be fucking up your bids. If you include something that shouldn't be included and you end up having to cover a cost that you didn't really have figured, big problem. If you disinclude something that you should have included, big problem. So somebody who's an office lady that doesn't really know the industry that well, if they were to do one of those, include something that shouldn't be or disinclude something that should be, that's a big problem. Granted, I could always proofread everything and correct it. It's almost, I might as well just do it myself. The girl that helps me now, she's just kind of part-time. She just helps me here and there.
What's she doing for you?
She's doing billing. I've been showing her how to bill and invoice. She replies to emails. She runs checks for me. She's met with a few customers just to show up and talk, but nothing crazy. Very easy stuff. It would be very hard to delegate office work for a small construction company, at least of my size. If there was enough going on, I think it would be almost easier for a bigger construction company to delegate office work just because there would be enough. You have to deal with accounts getting paid and stuff like that, but then that's a whole other money thing, and I don't know. It's just, I don't fucking know.
Can you tell us a little bit about when you would vibrate concrete and when you might choose not to?
Pretty much all your walls get vibrated. Just anything that's going to be, so I would say stuff that, like residential stuff, you're not really going to see a whole lot of, I don't know, like we vibrate every now and then. We'll vibrate steps, like step faces. So the main purpose of vibrating is to bring the cream to the face of the form so you don't have a shitload of work as far as when it comes to wrecking the forms. You can just wreck the forms and rub them down a little bit. You don't have to deal with these crazy honeycombs and big holes and stuff. So residential wise, you're not really, but commercial stuff, definitely you gotta vibrate all kinds of stuff because you don't know it, especially on stuff that you're gonna pour and leave the forms. You're not gonna wreck them the same day. Like walls, you wouldn't really normally wreck walls the same day. You would pour them, screed them off flat where they need to be, and leave them, and come back the next day and wreck the forms. By then the concrete's set up, so If you didn't vibrate it, you would have honeycombs or holes in the concrete. The vibrator takes that out of it.
Looking back, is there anything you would have done differently?
Oh, for sure. I was very blessed to have not jumped the gun when I went out. I was very comfortable from the time I went out on my own. I've definitely done jobs that I have never done before. Don't get me wrong, but I was very knowledgeable. Once you've done enough and learned enough, you can carry yourself through. These are all the basics. If I just follow these basics, then I can get through this job. You don't have to know every single detail about everything. Nobody, if somebody says they know everything about everything, they're fucking lying. They don't fucking know. But it's being humble enough to know that, and but wise enough to know that you can still make it happen. Going back, if I had to change anything, even though I had a mentor who I still have, my best friend, he's like an older brother to me. His name's Adam Wright. He taught me a ton. This goes for anybody, really. If you can get with somebody that's older, that has years of experience in what you're doing, and learn from their mistakes, learn from their ups and downs. If you can get in a spot where they trust you enough to tell you these things and can help guide, get a mentor. Mm-hmm. If you can get in a spot where you have somebody like that, you will excel much faster. When I was starting out, I had a good solid 5+ years of full-time experience. In those 5 years, I worked with a guy named Mick, who had about 40 years of concrete experience, or maybe at the time it was about 30, 35, something like that. A lot of years of concrete experience. So he had 30 years. A guy named Perry Bush, he had a lot of years of experience. We're talking, all these guys have 20+ years experience. Adam had 20+ years. I was just a sponge to him. Everything that happened, I just paid attention to, all details, not just the overall, but the little stuff really matters. When you can take all those little things and the big things, soak them all in, it's like you have, we'll just call it 60, 70 years experience just right there at your fingertips. If you are willing and able to learn and take that in, then you can excel real quick. I almost wish, even though I had all that, I wish I would have had more. Even now, I still don't know everything. There's always something to learn. If you ain't learning, you ain't earning. At the same time, the more you learn, the more you will earn. If you get in a spot where you can, like I said, the more you can learn from people, there's just so much to learn in construction, especially concrete. Concrete is the #1 construction product in the world. It's used worldwide to build everything. That's the base of everything. It always starts with the concrete. Concrete is a hard trade, but it's a good place to be, especially if you know what you're doing and you take pride in it. You can make a career out of it for sure.
Yeah. Really, between being an employee and then an owner, what is the big differences that you've had to shift in your mindset and such?
For me, a little bit different than just being a normal employee, but I have always taken the role of being able to lead and get things going. Kind of like when guys didn't know what was going on, but I did. I would just start doing it and say, listen, this is what we got to do. All it takes is some initiative and know-how. That's all it takes, is you just got to know what's going on and get the guys to help you. So as far as going from employee to owner, the biggest things would be responsibility. You go from having hardly any worries to just showing up on time, doing what you're supposed to do every day, and leaving and coming back the next day and getting a check on Friday. You go from that, okay, I gotta call these people, I gotta answer these phone calls, I gotta bid these jobs, type these jobs, go look at these jobs, talk with these people, do the work right, continue to talk to these people while we do the job, bill for the job, get paid from the job, and then take those checks to the bank. And it's a whole different process. And that's not even including half of it. You got to deal with insurance and, get on some big jobs. You got to deal with bonding and stuff like that. It's like it never ends.
And the payroll and then
And paying the guys, managing overhead, knowing what the biggest thing is, if you're going to be an owner You have got to know your pricing. You have to know it cost me this much to wake up, this much to leave the house, this much a month. And you have to know that number like the back of your hand. If not, you're walking in the dark and you are completely blind. So if you don't know your numbers, you're fucked. In short.
So how would you say you get in front of those decision makers for bigger jobs?
I would say the biggest thing is just getting your name out there. Initially, getting on the vendor list with these people. Here in Louisville, we have Flynn Brothers, Louisville Paving, Hall Contracting, Mac Construction, and Bluegrass Contracting Corporation. Those are probably the 5 biggest. If you get on their vendor list, those are well-known names. So when work needs to be done, people will contact them first. If they are overwhelmed or there's a deadline job, they might not have the manpower available, then they'll sub it out. Of course, they're going to tack on 15, 20, 30% on whatever price I send them. If they get it, fantastic. They're going to make 15, 20, 30% and not have to touch it. So that's what normally happens. If you can get on their list, that's a big thing. It's just getting on the list and get the opportunity. The opportunity is out there. You can make a business out of anything. Sometimes, like the landfill job, they found me on Google or something and reached out directly and said, "Hey, we got this job. It's a deadline job." And they'll normally tell you, "Hey, this has to be done by this certain day. We're under a time crunch." That's music to my ears because that means, okay, if they're calling me, especially for me being a small company, I know if they're calling me, then shit has absolutely hit the fan. They are down to the bottom of the barrel because if they're calling me, that's just how small of a company I am. I just know that if they're reaching out to me, then it's go time for them because they can't find anybody else to do it. And that's not to like degrade my business or anything. It's just we're a small company that isn't really that known. It's not like it's not like we have billboards and shit. You have to actually try to find us. So when they do find us, it's good, and we take care of them. Anybody that we do any work for, we always take care of them. So
next time you do one of these bigger jobs, I want you to let us know, and we'll get some cameras out there, and you can even bring up on camera. Because of our size, we're able to fit you into our schedule and do these rush order time crunch jobs when some of the bigger companies can't. That could be a great selling point for you.
and that's another selling point. It's like me being on site. It goes hand in hand. You're talking to the owner. I'm also on site. When it comes down to it, if y'all need this done, and I know me being out there, I will get it done. That's how I sold that job. I told them, and I got it done in a timely manner. So
What I'm noticing is that it is a little bit harder to get in front of these commercial decision makers for these bigger jobs because they have set vendor lists. They've been working with the same people for a long time, and sometimes you have to wait for an opening. But with homeowners and smaller jobs, it's a lot easier because if someone moves into town from Nebraska, they don't know anyone. They're going to Google, and that's where we've had a lot of success is climbing those ranks and getting you in front of their eyes. I would like to learn more about how to help not just you, but other business owners get in front of more of these big commercial decision makers.
no, but hell, anything does help because we're just in that day and age. It's not the old phone call and word of mouth. It's more you have to have some kind of online presence. If you're in construction and you don't have an online presence, I don't know what you're doing. Unless you live under a rock, you need to get on hardhatpro.com and hire Michael and Jacob. It's mainly the old school cats. It's the old school cats that are stuck in their ways. It sucks because some of these old school guys have these accounts they've worked for forever and they're just comfortable. They don't want to do any more. They don't want to do any less. They just got their accounts that they work for, and that's what it is. That's each to their own, but those guys are the ones making a living. I wouldn't say they're making a killing. It's all subjective, of course, because some of these older guys have worked for the same people for so long that the people are never going to get rid of them. They have that relationship, that bond built where they know they can call them, they're going to be there and do it. But at the same time, if any of these older guys want to grow or try doing anything different without an online presence, they're fucked. You're like, they're not going to be able to do it. They can try, but it's going to be a hard road to go. You have to have it nowadays. There's no way around it.
Can you really talk about just your work-life balance, if there really even is any?
I don't. Man, it is tough, especially I've got 2 little kids, Mason and Presley. It is so hard. You got to draw the line at some point, but at the same time, while you're doing it, it's almost, this is why I'm doing it. I don't know. It's just tough. That's a hard question. You got to cater to your people. It's not just work and family life. It's to the point now where I have several mouths to feed besides my own kids. I think about their families too. I'll put it this way. When it comes down to it, at the end of the day, my business is what gives my family the life they deserve. I have to cater to my business. In some ways, health-wise, I will always cater to my family first. But the business is what allows me and my family to do what we want to do. So that normally will take priority first, which me and my ex are split up. Of course, I only have the kids half the time, so half the time I don't have the kids. So that's also another thing now. And I'm still adjusting to everything, but that is just how I look at things. The business is what allows me and my family to do what we want to do. So I have to always keep in mind, I've always treated the business, Presley is about to be 5 this month, and I started the business a year before Presley was born. I've always said that the business is like my 3rd kid. I've grown it from a baby till now. As the kid gets older, it needs different things. And whatever the business needs from me, I will always do it. Just like whatever my kids need from me, I will do that. Yeah, you have to think of it like that. And I don't know, maybe that's the wrong way to think of it. That's how I think of it. But at the end of the day, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. You have to cater to that hand.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about the construction industry, if you're going to be in it and you're going to be an owner, operator, or whatever, if you cannot sell jobs, you will be one hungry motherfucker. You have got to be able to sell jobs. You have to be able to talk to people. You have to have some kind of social ability to sell work. If you can connect with somebody in general, you can sell work, but that is a big thing. You could be the baddest motherfucker ever lived, but if you don't have the social ability, then you're gonna struggle. You have got to be able to sell work, and you've got to be able to talk to people for sure. It's a big thing.
So being able to speak to women.
Well, that's another thing. That's another thing. If you can talk to the wife, if you can, dude, I just sold a building yesterday, and I have never met her husband. I talked to him on the phone once, but I sold the building to her. She definitely wears the pants. I was talking to her about the job, and I'm not trying to be manipulative, but if you can talk to the wife and connect with her, she had her kid on the kitchen island, and I'm talking to him, and I'm playing with the kid, which I loved anyways. I ended up holding the kid half the time. I just met this lady. Before I left there, I had the job completely sold. I knew exactly what she wanted. I knew what the price needed to be for me to make money. If you are bidding on a job and you don't know what the price is by just hearing what somebody wants, then you don't know enough about it. You need to be, and now granted, there are times, like, I'll take that back. On something, I would say residential wise. Residential is so simple that if you don't know what somebody wants, or if you don't know the price of a job based off of what somebody wants when they're describing it, then you don't know enough about the job. Because like commercial is a little bit different because there's a lot of specs and it's very detailed and you have to know all this and that. I wouldn't say that at all. It does not apply to commercial work. But as far as residential goes, if you cannot price it, like she was talking to me, let's just say it was a 40 by 50 building. She's describing to me everything she wants. 40 by 50, 12-foot walls, 3 overhead doors, 1 man door, 2 windows. In my mind, as she's saying this, I can price this thing out and know I'm still going to make money. I know where I need to be, about 30, 35, 40%, whatever it is, based off. And another thing, you're going to base your percentage off of not only what you need to make money after taxes, but also how big of a pain in the ass is this job going to be? Am I going to be dealing with these people every day and is it going to be a nightmare? Or is this thing going to go pretty easy? Is it going to be easy access? Is it going to be easy to do? Or am I going to be here for an extra month because it's tight access, the people are a pain in the ass? Base your percentage off who you're dealing with, of course. If you can't do that by just talking to them and them rattling off what they want, then you probably shouldn't be doing it.
How do you price work for family, honestly?
Depends on who it is, of course. For very intermediate family, I will normally do cost plus. Cost plus is very fair. I'll even do cost plus with normal customers sometimes if it's something I'm not really comfortable with or something we don't normally do, but cost plus is very fair to everybody. For those who don't know, cost plus will be what materials is, what the labor costs, what the overhead is. Those 3 things is what the cost is, plus whatever percentage we decide on. So if I think a good percentage on family would be 20%. So whatever 20% is of the job, that's what I'm going to charge on top of what it cost me to do it. That's how I do it. You have to know your numbers. Once you get in business or so far in business, it's going to cost you a certain amount per day to go out, have your guys show up, all the trucks leave, go to the job, do the job, come back. It all costs you so much fucking money. Like, you have to be able to know your numbers and know, okay, this is my break even. This is what I gotta fucking charge just to leave the house. And if it doesn't matter if it's family, it don't matter if it's the fucking Pope, it don't matter if it's Obama, you have to charge this much bare minimum to do the job. Definitely know your numbers. That's a part of the cost plus. You're gonna charge at least this, and then you still gotta make money. I don't care if it's for family, your best friend, your buddy. You are in business to make money, and that might sound bad, or that might even sound greedy. If you're doing a job for a family or friend and it takes you a week, a day, it don't matter if it takes a day. That is still your time. That is time that you could be working for some random person and charging more than cost plus. If you're doing a job for anybody random, you shouldn't be really charging cost plus. Alex Hermosi said it best: when you price something, you should always say the highest price you can without cracking a smile. I agree, because your time is valuable. Time is the only thing you cannot buy back. You need to be charging the most you absolutely can, because we live in a capitalist country. This is how America was built. You should charge as much as you possibly can, and I agree with that.
So, upcharge family.
Yeah, upcharge everybody. Fuck it. No, why not?
Hypothetical situation, you can only take one type of client, one job type. What's that going to be?
If I could only do one thing, it would be commercial concrete. That would be my market go-to, but at the same time, I've done it long enough now. I do like to break it up. The other thing about concrete is it also depends on the time of the year. A lot of concrete companies have a good spring, summer, and fall. Some concrete companies will just continue, if it's like for Fisher Homes or whoever doesn't really care what the concrete looks like, they'll just keep pouring. Like, they'll just pour through winter. It don't matter if it's 18 degrees out. They'll just keep pouring. I cannot bring myself to do that for several reasons. One, it's a big liability to pour concrete when it's freezing. Concrete has water in it. Sometimes you flat out just can't pour because the plant can't even open because it's so cold. Especially here, we're in a weird climate. We have, I wouldn't say really harsh winters, but at the same time, I feel like the concrete plants aren't really equipped enough to battle the real cold weather because they got to thaw the plant out basically when it gets cold enough. I really would rather not pour concrete. If now there's it's subjective because I will pour concrete if it's inside a building or something like that. But I'm not gonna go out there and try to pour a lot of exterior concrete when it gets real cold just because it's a huge liability. Like, the last thing I want to do is pour a driveway when it's freezing out. One, I don't want to be doing it. Two, I might do a beautiful driveway. It might be perfect. And if you're pouring concrete in the wintertime, the motherfucker should be perfect because God knows you got plenty of time to mess with it. But we could do a perfect job and it could drop from being 18, 20 degrees, whatever. It could drop down to 0, maybe even in the negatives overnight, even though we put blankets on it. Blankets don't add heat. They just keep the heat. They don't really do a whole lot. And we could do a beautiful job. Doesn't matter how good of a job we do. You could still have big problems with the top flaking. Concrete has water in it. And that's a big problem when it comes to freezing. That's why it's just not even really worth it to me to pour in the wintertime. And that's why I like doing other stuff like building buildings, framing, do excavation. Just move on to something else. If you got the equipment and the guys to do it and the know-how to do it, why would I risk doing something that could be fucked up after a lot of hard work that we put into it? You know, I'm not gonna risk a $20,000 driveway when I could have just spent my day putting metal on a building or doing whatever. It just doesn't even make sense.
So that helps a lot. We're looking to chase more of the commercial concrete work and to supplement in the winter more new builds, more framing, and projects like that.
The beauty about what I got going on right now is I would always take in more framing work. I have a awesome framer. Me and him, I mean, he's one of my best friends. His name's Jorge Nava. He does awesome work. He's got 20 plus guys, and I keep him fairly busy. He works for me pretty much every week. He's been framing for 30 years. He's never left me on a job. Like, he takes very good care of me. He does a very good job. So I would never turn down more framing work. I would like to take on more buildings. As far as framing and additions, he likes me because I can come in and do the foundation work for him to frame off of. If you have a concrete guy that knows what they're doing and gets things nice, perfect, and level, square, for the framer, of course the framer's going to love you. Like, they don't have to do hardly shit, which should just be an industry standard, but sadly it's not. I would love to get more calls on framing work. I would price the hell out of it just because I can keep him busy with he's got 3 crews, or sometimes 4. I can keep him busy either way. And then on top of doing the framing work, which I'll make a little percentage off of each framing job he does, I would like to also take on more builds, get more concrete work for the summer or the spring. Framing work I can always take more of. Building work I can always take more of. Concrete work I can always take more of. I just take less of it in the wintertime.
How often is it that someone will reach out to you just to do the framing on a job?
It's fairly often. A lot of the times it's normally decks or additions. Every now and then somebody will contact me over a house. I actually do have an Alpine spec house. I have one guy that we're going to build it for. It's in E-Town. It's going to be the first Alpine spec house. It's a cabin build. I've been working on it for about a year now. I finally found somebody that wants to build it. That's going to be the first spec house. It's like Fisher. Yeah. Fisher makes their money off of building houses, but they do it because they are so efficient at what they do. have built the same house 1,000 times. They know exactly how many rafters are in it. They know how many pieces of plywood. They know how many pieces of dry line. They know every little piece that's going to go into that house. They know how long it's going to take to build it. They know every little detail about it. And that's what I'm trying to build. But at the same time, building a spec house for a smaller company like us, that's why I call it the Alpine Cabin. I want to build it the first time. It's going to be a bit of a learning curve. This is what went good. This is where we were at. This is, I'm going to learn all the pricing. This first one that we built, I'm going to know all the pricing on it. I know roughly what it's going to take to do it. Do I know exact numbers? No.
You said it's a cabin?
I call it the Alpine Cabin. It's a 36 by 40 building, but it's got a 10-foot front porch and a 10-foot back porch. So it's got like these lean-tos. It's got a high pitch for an optional upstairs. 12-foot walls downstairs, so it feels real open.
How did people find out that you were doing that?
The guy that we're doing it for, he actually reached out to me first and said he wanted to build a house. He told me what he wanted. It's just him and his wife, no kids. He's looking for a retirement home, a smaller home. I don't want to build no mansion. I don't want to build anything crazy. I don't want to build anything with 5 hip roofs coming off the roof and stuff. I want to build something. It's just a simple gable with lean-to porches on the front and back. Very simple. And I talked him into it. I said, let me draw you something up. He liked it. He sent me his floor plan that he wanted on the inside. In the way he has to have some kind, I don't know what he does. He has to have some kind of drawing background, because the way he did the floor plan was very nice. I said, that's a really nice floor plan. I put it all together on the overlay and said, this is what we got, and he agreed to it. We're supposed to be breaking ground. If everything goes good, it'll go in January.
Once you get started, let us know. I want to get cameras on that, put it on the website, maybe push people towards choosing your spec home, maybe offer some sort of discount.
Once I do this first one, I'm going to have a very good idea. If some stuff changes dimensionally, like I'll be able to gauge, okay, this came down to this much per square foot. If this much square foot is added, I'll know roughly what it's going to be. If something changes or they want to make it smaller or bigger, I can roughly know what it's going to be. You got to start somewhere, and for it being a first spec house, I'm just happy that I got somebody to do it. I straight up told them, this is what it is. This will be the first spec house. I've already done a custom house, and I'm very transparent with everything. I'll just tell you, this is the first time we're going to do this, but I promise you we can get it done. And it's like back to the old commercial contract with the specs of plans. It's got to be built how it says. If it's not, then we get into a legal ordeal.
Where you're at currently, do you think it would be beneficial to get more media on your site?
I think any media presence, especially video, goes really far. So it's one thing to read. You can read all day reviews. You can read and see pictures of work all day, but I don't know, something about video really sells it. Actually seeing who's out there, seeing the work be done, seeing how things are happening real time, I think it goes really far.
Last question. How do you stay motivated to grow both personally and professionally after being in the construction industry for so long?
Number one, when you have kids, you will have a never-ending desire to do more and do better. And that is very true. That's number one. I think I would still be motivated without having kids, but having kids changes your life. It makes, yes, I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to have a good life. I want to have a fun life. I want to do so much. But when I go to work, especially when I work hours on a big job, typing it up, and I get it all typed up, and I've got just endless amounts of time into something I might not even ever get. When I go to hit send, I know that I'm going to make good money on the job, and it's going to be money on the table for my family. that is something that I'll never get tired of. When I go to hit send on the email or whatever it is, I just know this is going to set my family up. This is what I need. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not real super religious, but I do pray. And I pray that my business does good. I pray that my family does good. And pray for my own health. Pray for my kids' health. Pray for my friends. So that's all you gotta do. Is this live?
Yes.
No, not live. As in, it's recording. It's not.
I said yes. He says no. Which is it?
Shut up, Mikey. I believe. I believe Jacob.
Shit, if it was live, we'd be in trouble.